Oh. All right, we'll open the public hearing for 143 Berkshire Road, map 010, lot 031-005. Anybody like to present anything?
Yeah, I, as a property owner, I was hoping that I would have an opportunity to say something.
Yeah.
Should I stand? Doesn't matter. Awesome. I have some notes, so bear with me. So first, I want to thank all of my friends and supporters. Jill and I, thank you so much for coming. And I want to give you guys a bit about the Appalachian Trail in case you don't know, pardon my back. But the Appalachian Trail is 2,198.4 miles long and runs from Springer Mountain, Georgia to Mount Katahdin and Vassar State Park. While most people think of it as just a hiking trail, each year roughly 4,000 hikers think of it as a community. There are towns up and down the trail that embrace this community. Franklin, North Carolina, Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, Duncannon, Pennsylvania, and Monson, Maine, just to name a few. Tonight's meeting, and ultimately how you vote, is about more than just a 6-bed hostel in a woodland zone. It's about community, it's about opportunity before the town to get added to that list that I just talked about and become benefactors of being an outdoor enthusiast community. As I put in the continued use application to Brett, Camp 43 offers a service that others don't offer and don't exist in town. We charge $80 a night, which is well above the average of most hostels at $45 a night. Hotels in town run anywhere from $195 a night to $250 a night. None of those hotels offer shuttle services, and a shuttle from the trailhead to town can cost hikers another $30 to $40. So there's just no way hikers are going to spend $250 to $270 on a night in town. Reservations are required at Camp 43. You just can't walk in. We're 15 miles from the trailhead. We give shuttle services into town to the IGA, the Rangeley Adventure Company, and restaurants. We don't offer food resupply as we want our guests to shop in town. We want them to spend money in the IGA, spend money at Sarge's, spend money at the Rangeley Adventure Company and other businesses. And we don't offer laundry services, again, because we want them to spend that money in town. As I mentioned earlier, roughly 4,000 hikers start northbound each year, and another 500 start southbound. And then I wanted to give you some other statistics. Only 25% of those hikers finish. So 4,000 start in Springer Mountain, 1,000 of them get to Rangeley. We served roughly 35% of those 1,000 hikers at the hostel while we were open. And we turned away dozens of others because the 6 beds were booked. So we know there's a demand, we know the opportunity exists. AT hikers spend close to $10,000 on their trip, on their adventure. Roughly $2,200 for gear, and then they spend an average of $1,200 a month while on the trail. And it takes them about 5 months to finish the trail. The average, and these are my numbers, and talking to our guests that we served, the average in-town spend was $100 for grocery, $10 for laundry, $60 for lunch dinners, and another $70 for gear. We estimate that our guests generated almost 80,000 incremental revenue to the town in just 5 months of operation. We're open from May 15th through the end of September. Our average guest is 55 years old. So pretty much everybody in this room, you're the type of person that has stayed, with the exception of Leo. You're the type of person that stays at our hostel. They're typically retired, they have money to spend, but they want to experience the AT culture and be part of that community. They very rarely stay in the hotels because of that. doctors, ballistic missile engineers, Olympic medalists, teachers, first responders, mechanics, loads of veterans. And our youngest through hiker was 17 years old. Her dad was over in Wilson Mills. And our oldest was 80 years old. We've had guests from Japan, Norway, Finland, Mexico, Puerto Rico, England, Ireland, Wales, the Netherlands, France, Germany, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Kuwait, along with every state in the country. We have a really broad, the trail has a really broad reach. And in some of the emails, which I hope you all have that were sent in, our guests don't stay with us to come into town to party. Right? They come into town and stay with us because they have a comfortable bed, a hot shower, a quiet and relaxing atmosphere, and a place to rest, and a place to build community with the other guests. This is my wife, Jill. We're not in this for the money, right? You can't make a lot of money running a hostel. We're in it, and I keep using that word over and over again. We're in it for the community. We're helping Rangeley, or we hope to help Rangeley to become one of those towns I mentioned earlier. As leaders of this community, you have the responsibility to the town's heritage to protect the small town way of life. But at the same time, you have an obligation to look to the future. In a quote from the town website from the Economic Committee's purpose, and I quote, "Diversify local economy through public-private collaboration for long-term economic growth and stability while maintaining the character that gives the region its far-reaching appeal." And you heard how far we reach. And I know this is the planning board and not the Economic Opportunity Committee, but I also know you're all smart enough to see the connection between those two. And do we think that a 6-bed hostel is going to be an economic driver in the town? No, right? We're realists, but we do believe a 6-bed hostel can be a catalyst to help drive revenue from the outdoor industry. I don't know if anyone's been to Leadville, Colorado, but Leadville, Colorado was a mining town where the mines went bust, and the town fell apart. They had no economic income. Then they saw the light through hikers, through bikers, through trail runners, and that town is now a bustling economic community. They created two small brands. One of them is called Mezzalana. That business, which they do their production in Leadville, is a $7 million business making fleece hoodies specifically for hikers. The only way you can shop in that store is to get an appointment, and you have to book 6 months out. When we were there a few weeks ago, they were booking appointments for May 12th. So, and I bring that up only because I think those types of things are the opportunities that can happen with Rangeley, with that hiker community. So thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yes.
I'd like to speak to Ken's comments. My name is Rick Baker. I live at 150 Berkshire Road, which is basically kitty corner to Ken. Marcia, my wife, and I are year-round residents and have been so for 17 years. And we first started to come here, in the early 80s or so. Being right across from them, I know when Ken splits wood and when Jill plays music when she's working in her garden. So sound travels very easily. And I can tell you that the guests that they have been very respectful of the people around them. I have not heard any outrageous or extraneous noises or sounds that have come from their place. And as Ken has described the demographics of the folks who stay there, I can attest to that because I walk my dog up and down the road once, twice a day, and invariably, if my dog sees Ken or Jill out there, she'll charge up there to say hi. So I've had opportunity to meet a lot of these individuals, and I've been impressed with not only how mature they are, but how well spoken they are, and how much they love coming to this area. They have had nothing but good things to say about coming into Rangeley, doing the restaurants, resupplying the way that they have needed to do. And many of them have said they'd like to bring their families back here once they have finished this hike and their blisters all heal. You come back and enjoy this place. So I can totally support the service that's going on. And if past chairman, president of our road association, I can tell you they've been totally respectful of our road association, and we've had no qualms with what they've been doing, and totally supportive. Thank you.
Hi, Jim Nestrick, 17 Wheatland Road. I think Ken brought up a lot of good points about the finances, the business, all of the advantages. I hear a lot of pros, not many cons. So instead of asking why we should continue to use, I find myself asking, why not? But I probably have a little bit of a different perspective. I'm relatively new to Rangeley, 5 years in. And I just thought it was pretty amazing that the AT happens to cross so close to Rangeley. I mean, Rangeley would probably be okay without it, but isn't it pretty cool that it crosses so close? I know I pick up hikers, give them rides, great people, learn a lot from them. So I'm thinking, why not lean into it? As Ken mentions, why not, make it more integral to the culture, the town, make the town known for it. And to me, Camp 43 is just one great way to do that. The other thing I'll mention is when I came up to Maine, I had hunted bird before. Now, this is going somewhere, I promise, but I had never hunted deer. And so not long after I met Ken, I told him, Ken, I don't know anything. I watched the hunter's course. I watched Bambi again, but other than that, I had nothing to know about deer hunting. And Ken said, I'll take you out. And I think it speaks to the kind of guy Ken is. And since then, I've been out a number of times. I've learned a lot. Still haven't managed to shoot a deer or anything, but I've learned a lot, gotten a lot better. And of course, by extension, Jill. So I just wanted to mention, I think there's a couple of first-class people, and that the business should be allowed to continue.
Anybody else? Yes.
Sorry, I just had surgery, so I'm going to follow. I'm Stacy Barney, my husband Rod. We don't live in Rangeley. We're in Sandy River Plantation. Have owned that property for almost 25 years and moved here full time almost 5 years ago. We have welcomed through hikers into our home, and so we had this experience where we actually met a young guy on a trail while we were vacationing down in the Smoky Mountains, and connected with him and invited him to come and stay. And by the time he made it to Maine, a month, 2 months ahead of schedule, he picked up 2 buddies along the way, and we ended up hosting 3, pretty young people, but really phenomenal people in our home. And it was an amazing experience. And what they appreciated the most by the time they got here was a hot meal, a warm bed, like a hot long shower. They appreciated a home setting. And that's what they shared with us. They stayed a lot of other places along the way. By the time they got here and they knew what they had ahead of them, they just really appreciated that. So I know that that's what Bill and Ken provide, really that home setting that's really comfortable. And they're great friends. We're here to support them. But I really think from our own experience with Through Hikers, it's a valued offering, different from staying at any of the hotels in town.
Anybody else? Anybody on the TV?
Yep, this is Lisa and Peter Colbert. We about Camp 43. We're on Heartland Road. There's a lot of positive. I guess our only concern really is we purchased a lot and built a cabin in the Quimby Wilds area, and it was a residential area, and that's what we bought into. And our backyard, abuts the Camp 43, and we're, everyone stays. I just question, again, we bought into a residential area. We really weren't interested in being next to any businesses. Otherwise, we might have gone downtown and looked. And so I just question whether it's going to have a negative impact on the value of our property now or in the future if we ever decided to sell. And that's really our main concern.
Thank you.
This is Peter Colbert. The other concern that we have is the traffic on Heartland Road because of the business. There's a lot of transporting back and forth. That's one of our concerns. The road is definitely getting more use than it has in the past. And like
Do you have any
Lisa said,
data? to that?
Hey.
Oh, I can't ask that question?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
through me.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, I didn't know.
thank you.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Peter. Peter?
yes, yeah. I'm sorry. That's one of our concerns, and we use it as a vacation home. We bought it as a vacation home, and like Lisa said, it's a residential area, vacation area. And there's now we're allowing a business to come in. We agree with everything they said about what it does for the town, but it's in a residential area. It's always been a residential area. And now somebody wants to put a business in. And probably more concerned to us because we are the abutting neighbor. It's very visual. We see the traffic. We've learned to deal with it, but it's there. And it's not what we did not why we did it 20 years ago.
Thank you.
All I can say is it's a residential area and I see no need for a business to be in there. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'm gonna ask my code enforcement officer, Carl Coles. You issued the original permit for the building, is that correct?
Yeah, we've issued a couple building permit over the years for a garage. They issued there separate from, I think, the use permit why we're here today, right? And the only other thing I'd say, I think Breck, I would say from the code enforcement office, Breck Parker, Carl Coles were both in the planning code enforcement department of the town, is every conditional use has to follow the requirements of the code, right? A lot of the elements we heard today didn't really address many of those factors. We did provide a review of the permit based on what the definition of the use is, what chapter 38, which is the current approved town of Rangeley code as approved by the voter states. And that's basically the reflection that the planning board should follow in making.
Thank you. Didn't mean to cut you off, but I
No, I
don't like
didn't.
to let my meetings go
No, I did.
too crazy, but
Can I ask that question now for you?
you can ask me a question. Yes.
So does the planning board have the data for traffic, increase in traffic on Heartland Road?
No, I don't think that's anything that we would be interested in unless there was an issue.
So there's no data that exists. That would just have been some opinions of the previous.
Well, obviously, I mean, you said it earlier, we're not stupid. You got, if by your calculations, you've got 350 people running through that place. Is that right? If there's 1,000 people and you got 35%, that's 350 people divided by how many months?
By 5.5 months.
Pretty close.
Please, Leah, point of order, public hearing, right?
Yeah.
Should be no discussion. There's discussion when you guys review
Right.
the permit. So
Right.
if the public doesn't have any other comment.
We fix it. Can I ask another question? So
Sure.
I never had the opportunity to be in front of the planning board to discuss the application.
You do,
And
that's
I-
later this meeting.
And I also never got notice of this public hearing. I found out about this public hearing on the internet, on YouTube. My abutters told me, Mike Legacy told me he got one, but we never got a notice of this public hearing.
I have the email I sent you and you responded.
No, that's because I saw on YouTube that the planning board had a meeting to discuss the application that I wasn't aware of. And so then I sent you a note just the end of last week when I returned home and said, hey, we never got anything in the mail. The abutters got notices in the mail. We never got notice.
Anything else from the public? All right, I'm gonna close the public hearing at 6:20 p.m. Thank you. I'm gonna open the town meeting at 6:20. We could please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, correspondence. I have 5 letters from the previous public hearing that will be entered into the public record. Thank you for those. Declare quorum and disclose conflict of interest. Any? Any? We all good? Yeah. All right, adjustments to the agenda. Public to speak on non-agenda items. Review minutes, October 8th, 2025, regular meeting. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from October 8th, 2025.
Second,
I'll second that.
all in favor? Thank you. Correspondence? None. New business? Continuing business, shoreline zoning permit application 551 Ball Mountain Road. Map 022 lot 009. Finding of facts, approved or denied. I'm gonna go through this finding of facts as I read it. That will be my motion. Right, property address, I'm sorry. I have the wrong one. Does anybody ever find these facts? Yeah. Thank you, yeah. All right. Number 1, standing. The applicant has standing to present this application as the owner. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor? 2, authority. The planning board has the authority to consider this request for relocation of structure as required by section 38-5-3-4 of the Rangeley Town Code. The code enforcement officer made a determination on September 29th, 2025. The applicant's proposed building permit is within required setback from the normal high water line of the water body Moosonee-Waguntic Lake. And so the application has been referred to the planning board. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor? 3, in determining whether a practical alternative exists as required by section 38-5-3-3 of the Rangeley Town Code, the planning board shall consider the following. A, the size of the lot. B, the shape and slope of the land. C, the location of other structures on the property and on adjacent properties. D, the location of septic system and other on-site soil suitable for septic systems. F, the potential for soil erosion, and G, the type and amount of vegetation to be removed to accomplish the relocation. Based on 3AG above, the planning board finds there is not a practical alternative to retain the floor area of the volume of the structure within a required setback area. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor? Conditions, if any, required to ensure compliance with the above sections of the Rangeley Town Code. None. 6, determination based upon the proceedings, finding and conclusion, the application for this project within shoreline zone is hereby granted. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay, next, continuing business, conditional use permit, 143 Berkshire Road. Lot map 010 lot 031-005, finding of facts. So as I read this, this will be my motion.
I got a question.
Yep.
So as far as, I mean, obviously you have a butter that is opposed to it and it's in a residential zone. Is there a different?
Yeah.
a-
I'm sorry, Peter.
Oh,
we're gonna run through the,
No discussion first.
Then finding the fact. Is there another, like, instead of a conditional use permit and having a hostel, a bed and breakfast, is there a different permit that he could go after that would be allowed to be done in a residential zone?
Any business in the town of Rangeley is required to obtain a conditional use permit. Right, in chapter 38, we have our use tables, describes all the uses, zones. I believe anything under a commercial use or bed and breakfast in motel, hotel, will require a conditional use. So if you're operating a commercial business, you have to come in front of the planning board for a conditional use and meet the requirements of that particular use of the state.
yep,
Which way does most of the traffic go now? Okay.
And can I continue to make a comment on it?
we can address Leo's, yes.
So Leo, of the 300 or plus or minus guests that we have, it's not one guest at a time. It's multiple guests, so we could have up to 4 guests picking up at one time. And we use Berkshire Road 90% of the time.
Mr. Chairman, if I can,
Yeah.
there's nothing in the code that talks about traffic.
Right.
As an ordinance.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
So some of your supporters are calling it an Airbnb or a hostel. Is there something that could be applied for other than a hostel, or is that not a conversation we can have?
Yes, there is, it could be an Airbnb or it could be a bed and breakfast, if I'm not mistaken.
There are definitions for each of them, sorry.
Right.
There may be extra conditions to operate.
Right, like-
And still do the same of what he's trying to do.
Yes,
So Leo, can I expand on that?
yes,
So when we got the cease and desist letter, it specifically stated that we were running, I don't know if it said hostel, we were running a business. We were charging for lodging and that was the violation.
Mhm.
And so I asked the board if I didn't charge for lodging and hosted 350 hikers a year, would I be in violation of any code?
That's not the application we have, so we'd have to look at what you would be defined as and whether it met the requirements of chapter 38 for the number of bedrooms being occupied by people, by everything that was in there. So,
I mean,
So Leo, it wouldn't be, I would have 350 of my friends staying at my home for free.
Right.
Is that allowed by town ordinance for me to have, over the course of 6 months, 300 friends stay at my house for free? Is that allowed?
yeah, so,
yeah, from the code enforcement, that's not what we're discussing here. I mean, we could talk hypotheticals all day, recognizing that every day to many different people. But we're here reviewing an application for a 6-bedroom hostel located at 143 Berkshire Road.
I think,
But Leo asked specifically to me, asked the board, the panel, if there are other ways to get this approved. And so I'm happy to pull my application right now and just tell you, I'm gonna host 350 friends next year at my home. And I'm gonna pick them up at the trailhead when they call me to say, come pick me up. And I'm not gonna charge them for lodging.
so you wouldn't go through the commercial application to try to get an Airbnb or a bed and breakfast permit?
No, because I know what Carl's gonna say, and I've read Article 38.9.7, whatever.
It's not Carl, it's the code.
No.
And so it's not,
Right.
it's the
I
town
know,
code.
I understand, Carl. I'm not criticizing you, just happen to be the one.
It's my favorite thing to say, to you, because I get that a
You
lot.
happen to be the one vocalizing it. And so I know the code, I know what it says, and it wouldn't allow me to operate it wouldn't allow me to operate a
for-profit business.
Correct. So I could certainly do that, or I could rent it out, just like other people, the other 1,000 people in town that rent out their places. And so, you know, I hate to say it, but there's loopholes around this. And
Right.
so we tried to do this the right way. We opened up an LLC, we came to the town. Breck may not remember because it was probably his first week on the job. We called the state, we got business insurance, we did everything the right way until we found out, we got that letter, and we stopped charging people after that point. And they stayed there for free, and so I don't want to do that. I want this to go the right way in and through the process. I'm a rules follower. And so I want to follow the rules. And so,
I think you're making an assumption that we don't want that business in town. You're
No,
making an
I-
assumption that if you apply for the permit, that we wouldn't work with you to get what you want. You've already made the assumption based on what you read in the rules that you can't have this. What you haven't taken into consideration is that we are members of the society who realize what you're doing is not a horrible thing. So therefore, code enforcement, planning board and appeals board may work with you with the proper application, if that's the way we decided to go, to get you to where you want it to be. However, we have to take your neighbors into consideration. We have to take overall everything into consideration. The service that you're providing may be awesome to your clients today, but if your septic's not big enough, or God, who knows what happens? There's a fire. What if 5 of those hikers die in your garage? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that we, as the town of Rangeley, want to, if we're going to assume the responsibility of your building, which we have, basically, when we gave you an occupancy permit, we want to know that those people staying there are safe and well taken care of. And I'm not saying they're not now. What I'm saying is there's other avenues that you have to be open to.
yes, so I did not make that assumption. If it came off like that, I apologize. I'm hoping that the board is open, and it sounds like perhaps there is some open discussion.
Seems like most of your neighbors are open for discussion.
Yeah, yeah, they are. And then our neighbors, with the exception of one, has been very supportive of us in the business, and
But you
Again-
can't come in here and ask me to bend the rules for you.
no, I'm not asking you to bend the rules.
When I have, chapter 38 was a long arduous journey, which I was a part of for many years. And whatever the voters voted on is what we have to enforce. However, there are options.
Yes, so there are options, and I just gave you a few of them that we've talked to, and our attorney has said, hey, here's some options if this doesn't work out the way
Yeah.
you hope. And I've never been to one of these meetings, so I'm gonna know when we walk out where the board stands, and I'll know in 15 minutes when you read through that. I know what part of Article 38 it doesn't meet. And from my understanding, there's only one point, and that's the acreage size of the lot. And so to me, everything else we meet. We worked with Breck when we built the barn. He was probably there 6 times. He was coming because he just, using your words, I just love timber frames, and I'll come here more often than I probably will the other places. And so Breck was very good working with us when we built the barn. So I don't question the board's motive on this.
Well, you made another assumption. You assumed that you knew how we feel. It's not how we feel personally. You'll never know how we feel personally. But however, how we feel about the code that the town voted on that's unwavering. We hold up.
Yeah, which again, I know the code, I've read the code, our attorney has read the code, I know where we don't meet, and so. I'm making,
Seems like a small hurdle, doesn't it?
I can't build more land.
You can get a variance. There's options. What I'm saying, there's options.
Okay,
for you. Okay.
thank you.
Anything else?
How many bedrooms is the home versus the barn?
The barn is one large bunk room and the home has 3 bedrooms. It has a,
Because I read in here that it was, your septic is designed for 4 bedrooms.
correct.
That
That-
thing's
that-
gotta be full right now.
Well, that's
350.
another,
It's actually, can I make a comment on that?
Absolutely.
It's not, so we had it pumped, we generally get it pumped every 2 years. And Brackets came and pumped it last November and said, you go 18 months easy. So it's being pumped on
I'm
Monday.
sorry, Peter. Anything else from the board?
Have you talked to the state at all about serving food to these people? Because I know all the restaurants in town have to have a state
We have,
inspections and different things like that.
we don't give them food, we don't bake, we don't cook.
We take them out to town.
That's nice.
Yeah, we don't pay for it, we bring them into town, so they can go.
Oh, yeah.
They go to Sergeant. Yeah, JD and Crystal are the benefactors of us, cooking, and you need a commercial kitchen, and we don't have.
Right. Well, that was my question.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, just make a couple of comments.
Yeah.
So new rules have evolved every year. So a couple of things, 2 bunks constitute a single bedroom. So if you have 6 bunks upstairs, that's considered 3 bedrooms. That's how the state looks at it. And that's how they look at, when they call bunk houses, for example, how many bunks do you have? Every 2 equals 1 bedroom, which is septic driven. That's just something info for you. Second issue is on bed and breakfasts, if you live in the same house, the same facility where your people are staying with you, 4 people is legal. More than 4 people requires, the fire marshal's office requires to put in a sprinkler system. If you have 5 or more people staying in a bed and breakfast, and that's state law, that's not even our ordinance, that's state law, that's really new. Well, it's kind of throwing the whole bread and breakfast people up in the air a little bit. What's new? As FYI.
That rule's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, if nobody's got anything else, I'm gonna read through this. Sure. Approve or deny application. You good, Cal? Correct? Marty? No,
Leo,
Leo, how?
you have another question?
I'm sorry, Leo.
I did. So there's other avenues. I'm ready, Mr. Baker.
This, I'm not beating anything tonight.
Nope.
This is like. Yeah. I'm gonna read through this determination worksheet. As I read it, that would be my motion. Number 1, standing. The applicant has standing to present this application as the owner. That's my motion.
second,
All in favor?
Here.
That's who I wrote. Authority. The planning board has the authority to consider this application by the proposed use being listed in section 38-6-6 and 38-9-8 of the Rangeley Town Code, specifically in the Woodland District. The code enforcement officer has made this determination on July 22nd, 2025. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor? 3, in determining the proposed use impact upon the surrounding properties as required by section 38-11-3-1 of the Rangeley Town Code, the planning board shall consider the following. A, the size of the proposed use compared with surrounding uses, the impact on scenic vistas, the intensity of the proposed use compared to surrounding uses. D, the potential generation of a nuisance. E, any unusual physical characteristics of the site. F, the use of design characteristics to mitigate effects. Based on 3AF above, the planning board finds the proposed project does or does not have significant adverse effect upon the quiet value possession of surrounding properties greater than is usual in the zoning district. My motion is, does have significant adverse effect upon the value and quiet possession of surrounding properties greater than the usual in the zoning district. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? 4, in determining the capacity of municipal and other facilities serving the proposed use as required by section 38-11-3-2 of the Rangeley Town Code, the planning board shall consider the following. A, the ability of traffic movement. B, pedestrian safety. C, capacity of public street network. D, wastewater disposal system. E, water supply system. F, stormwater drainage system. G, fire department capacity to serve. Based on 4AG above, the planning board finds the proposed project does or does not create any hazards based on inadequate facilities. We don't know what the facilities have.
Well, we have to know how many bunks did you say upstairs?
There's 3 beds,
How many bunks? How many bunks in the bunkhouse?
3.
I can't make that determination not knowing. Does it create any hazards based on inaccurate facilities?
You can ask a question.
I know the answer. Does it create any hazards based on inadequate facilities?
No, in my point of view.
Does not create any hazards based on inadequate facilities. That's my motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Get everybody? Use out.
Are you voting on?
I'm not,
That's fine.
Are you abstaining or are you?
yeah, I'll just abstain.
Five, if the proposed use is in a shoreline zoning area, is required by section 38-5-3 of the Rangeley Town Code, the planning board shall determine if the following criteria have been met. Is this in shoreline zoning area? It's not. I'm gonna opt out of section 5. Which includes J on the next page. Which includes that. Conditions, if any, required to ensure compliance with the above sections of the Rangeley Town Code. Conditions may include, but are not limited to, street improvements, access restrictions, hours of use, buffers and screening, utilities improvement and performance guarantees for off-site improvements, etc. Determination based upon the preceding findings and conclusions, the conditional use permit application for this project is hereby denied. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor? I would like to elaborate a little bit on that. You do not meet the current requirements for section 38 for 38. However, I encourage you for a hostel, I encourage you to pursue other avenues of approval.
And who should I have that conversation with?
Start with code enforcement. And it may come back around to us. We'll probably have to do another public hearing, bring your friends. I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying there's other opportunities.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next meeting is November 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion with one meeting.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you.